And you did not hear, viewers and listeners, a second, this meeting is being recorded because Steve Hunt is not with us today. We're wishing him well at his son's baseball tournament. But my name is Bill Woodcock, and you are watching or listening to another edition of Forward Maryland. And we are very pleased to have on the podcast today a former member of the Cecil County Board of Commissioners and a current candidate for Cecil County Council from District 4 in Cecil County. And her name is Phyllis Kilby. Phyllis, welcome to Forward Maryland. We're happy to have you here today.
Thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate the opportunity.
So we don't get, Steve and I are both based in Howard County, and a lot of our podcasts, even though are statewide, we're generally within the 95 corridor. We've done other shows with talking with folks from the shore and from Western Maryland, but Cecil County is a little bit of newer territory for us. So we're happy to learn about your candidacy. I know we both learned about it on your campaign's Facebook page. But for those of us out there and for people who are watching or listening who don't know anything about you, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us why you're running for Cecil County Council.
Okay, let's go to Cecil County first. Okay. I like to say that Cecil County is the county in Maryland that holds the state of Maryland together. So we're right up there at the top. We hold the Western Shore and the Eastern Shore together and unite it. We're almost Delaware, almost Pennsylvania, not quite as large as a lot of the counties in Maryland, only a little over 100,000 residents. But I feel like we're a vital part of the state and contribute a lot to the state. So a little bit about me. I was a county commissioner about 24 years ago, and I served 2 terms, elected not to run for the 3rd term because I felt like it was time to give somebody else a chance to have fun. I've been a dairy farmer most of my life. I have helped run and create a small business. We have an ice cream shop that's still going in Cecil County called Kilby Cream. My husband and I decided at the age of 70 that it was time to retire. So we sold all the businesses, but still retain the farmland itself and are able to live there on the farm. So we get the best of both worlds. We get to live on the farm and not have to do the work. So, what could be better than that? I've came originally from Pennsylvania when I was very young and got married, and have fallen in love with Maryland over the years and love Cecil County and its people. I know in the Baltimore area, sometimes Cecil County doesn't have a very good reputation, but we've continued to work throughout the years to try to repair that reputation and show a different side of Cecil County. One of the goals of my husband's life and mine has been to preserve farmland in Cecil County. So when I was a county commissioner 24 years ago, I was able to promote farmland preservation and preserved over 11,000 acres of land just in those 8 years that I was a county commissioner. So the reason I got into this race, I'm sitting at home, I'm retired, taking care of one last grandchild, drinking my coffee in the morning, day after the primary, looking at the results and seeing that the candidates that won almost to a person, except for one, were all far-right candidates. Moms of Liberty, Trump supporters, all those kinds of things that sort of work against all the things that I sought to build up for Cecil County. So I'm sitting there and thinking, no one's doing anything. No one's opposing this. No one, everybody just sort of acquiescing. And I thought, I have the time, I have the experience, I've been in government, I've done small business, you know, worked in a lot of different areas. So I can do this, why not? I know Lisa Murkowski was the only one in history, I think, in the United States that ever won a write-in campaign. But I thought, gosh, if Lisa Murkowski with a name like that, somebody with the name of Kilby surely could do this. So I filed to be a write-in candidate. And what has thoroughly surprised me is the number of people that are very appreciative of the fact that I've decided to run. I'm people that I've known for years, you know, have appeared out of nowhere, that I've kind of lost in the midst of time, you know, and said, you know, we're really glad you're running. We support your candidacy. What can we do to help you? I have a great team. I couldn't ask for a better group of people to work with. I have a treasurer who was the former treasurer of the county of Cecil when Cecil County had a treasurer. I have a campaign manager who is co-owner of the local supply store in Elkton, who's been there for years. I have an IT person, thank God, that's 40 years younger than I am, who knows how to do all those things. And just a really great group of people who are supportive and helpful. So what am I doing? I am doing everything. We are doing social media. We are doing every fair, yard sale, door to door, car. I went to 2 car shows yesterday. You know, we're doing everything. We're trying to be everywhere. If I can't be there, then I have grown children who will wear a t-shirt and go for me, grandchildren who will wear a t-shirt and go for me, and other supporters who will wear a t-shirt and go for me. So I have a lot of people out there making it known. We have yard signs. We're going to have billboards soon. We're going to take the advice of Sheila Dixon and do a video with sort of an upgraded or updated, I should say, Schoolhouse Rock theme on how to write in a vote. We have pens with my name on it for people who need a pen to write in a vote. We have bracelets with my name on it to help them, they could wear into the polls, so in case they forget how to spell my name. One of the really positive things about a write-in in Maryland is that you don't really have to spell the name to the T. It as long as it's an approximation of your name, it'll count. The trick is making sure that we get it on the right line and we fill in the little bubble, those kinds of things. Because after I came out and said that, you know, I was going to do a write-in campaign, there was another woman who had been in the county council not too long ago, who also decided that, you know, she had had enough. So she's doing a write-in campaign in the 2nd council district. So we are working together, and our mantra is protect Cecil. And our hashtag is revenge of the grandmas. So, you know, don't mess with your grandma.
No, I was raised by my grandma. No, you do not mess with your grandma at all. That's really bad. I love this, Phyllis. So I mean, for those out there who might not be aware, I mean, what you do, as Phyllis was saying, what you do have to do, either when you get your mail-in ballot or when you go to a polling place to early vote or regular, is you have to look past the Democrat and Republican candidates, and then there's a line for write-in, and you have to fill in the blank of write-in. Just putting the person's name in for write-in doesn't do it, because you're actually voting for a write-in. So you have to fill in the little bubble. You know, in Howard County, it's making the head and the tail of the arrow meet, and then you write in the person's name. And you know, Phyllis is right. She's Kilby. It's not, you know, Murkowski or Woodcock or something crazy like that. And so, you have to put in her name, and then that's how you cast your write-in ballot. Did I get it right?
You got it right. You got it right.
Excellent. And I could understand it. Anybody could.
That's what, I think the thing is challenging people, saying, okay, this is, and I think once they do it, they're going to feel so good about themselves that they were actually able to master this write-in campaign vote thing. It's
I think
an ego builder.
We are all in. I mean, it sounds like you would agree with me that more democracy is good. And empowering people to make more choices and giving them more choices is good.
Yeah.
And so this is a wonderful outlet to do it. So we've talked a good bit about how to vote for you. Let's talk a little bit about why people should vote for you. So why should people vote for you, Phyllis?
Okay, well, one of the things that's going on in the county, and the more people I talk to, the more stories I hear. The county council has basically given the county executive a free ride. The checks and balances are gone. There are no checks and balances. It's just acquiescence. And one of the scary things for me is Andy Harris is backing the majority of the council members and bankrolling them. He has bankrolled the current county executive, and the process has been a mess, to say the least. Mm-hmm. When you have, and I know, okay, let's back this up. I know that the council members under the charter have limited authority, but as it stands now, nobody is questioning anything. They're just letting everything ride. Mm-hmm. So if you have an administration that you do not get a financial report to the council from the financial officer for 6 months, from February to September, there's no financial report. No one is asking questions. No one knows where the money is. No one knows where the money is being spent. And in a council meeting, and you can go to the tape and listen to this, I'm not making it up. In a council meeting in September, when the financial officer finally gives a financial report and it's asked why it took 6 months to get one, he says, I forgot. And you didn't ask me for one. And, I'm sitting here on the Zoom meeting looking at this and wanting to scream. Has anyone read the charter?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't mind me interrupting, this is the chief financial officer of Cecil County government saying, I forgot to do the county's financial report for 6 months. My bad. Promise I'll do it the next time.
And you didn't ask me for it.
Well, of course.
Of course.
Well, of course. Who would have expected it?
And I'm tearing my hair out. I'm thinking,
good heavens.
I'm thinking this, in what government is this acceptable?
In what business is this acceptable? Because I know they're dealing very much with an end of a fiscal year coming up in a week. I can't tell my boss, hey, I just kind of decided to not deal with anything. It's given me a sad, and I forgot. Hey, catch it next year.
Yeah,
that doesn't fly.
No, and this is the kind of thing that's been going on, not only in this department. I mean, there's been a slowdown of permits. The county administrative building, where all the permits and inspections, all the offices are. You can get into the building on the ground floor, where there's one big meeting room where the council holds its meetings. And there's a pickup, I think, for permits. You cannot get to the upper floors of the administration building at all unless you are escorted by somebody from the office to which you are going. Mm-hmm. There are big doors there that are locked. You need a key fob to get through. So this was a wake up call again for me, because when I went, I didn't know this. I hadn't been in the administration building for a while. When I went into file, I'm waiting. And the receptionist says, okay, I'll get somebody to come and get you. So somebody from the elections office had to come down to the foyer, get me through the doors. So the people who own the county administration building can't even get into the county administration building. And even according to President Biden, the pandemic is over, okay?
Right.
So it's just, and it's been this way for a while. So there's no transparency. We don't know what's going on. There's no accountability, and no one's asking questions. The deputies are underfunded. There was a situation where the deputies were in contract negotiations with the administration. And the lawyer that was doing the contract negotiations told the deputies they had a pay parity clause in their contract, that if they wanted a contract, the pay parity clause had to go. And this was a parity with all the other county employees. So they agreed to it because they were afraid not to. Well, gosh, you know what happened about, I don't know, maybe a month later? The administration gave the county employees a raise, and the deputies were kind of left out in the cold. So we are currently down 22 deputies. The pay between our deputies and the surrounding areas were very, very close to Delaware, close to Harford County, close to Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
So we just can't compete. So we're down 22 deputies. And if you look at Cecil County, it's actually sort of shaped like the state of Maryland itself. It is. It's a very long county. I mean, to get from one end of the county to the other end of the county is at least 2 hours, traveling. Mm-hmm. So, having 4 deputies on call is not really a good plan for public safety. We just don't have the deputies. Our correctional officers are down for the same reason. The administration funded the school system $1 over maintenance of effort just to get state money. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to get a drink.
Oh no, take your time. I'm sorry. No, this is very interesting, and I'm hoping that our viewers and listeners, especially from other counties, are learning from this, because we in Howard County think it's bad that they only fund 2% over the maintenance of effort. $1.
$1, and the county executive was not going to fund $1 over. She was just going to flatline it, and found out that she couldn't get state money if she didn't increase it by something. So she $1'd it. That's resulted in larger class sizes. Okay, think in your mind of 28 5-year-olds in a kindergarten class with no aid. Think about 28 5-year-olds with differing abilities of opening their backpack, going to the bathroom, getting their coat on, how much instruction do you think is going to get done in that classroom? Mm-hmm. And this is what's happening across the board. And teachers are being called on to do multiple jobs because they didn't particularly want to lay anybody off, but they've lost teachers by attrition. Mm-hmm. Teachers are leaving. The stress level of the pandemic, plus the stress level of having less teachers to do all these jobs, is taking its toll on the workforce there. I've talked to a lot of teachers. One of my things that I've been trying to do is go around and talk to different people. So I've talked to lots of teachers. I've talked to some deputies, trying to get a sense of exactly what is going on, because I knew the surface, but I didn't know what was going on underneath. And it's just a really, really bad situation. Somebody has got to say something, do something, put some pressure on somewhere. Because the other end of it is, not only have they lowered the school budget, but they've also cut the small capital projects budget. And that goes into, doing things like gym floors, water pumps, those kinds of things. And my thing is, one of the things that really concerns me is that there was a program to do safe school entrances, after the school shootings that have gone on. The entrances where you have to go into the office and can't get into the main school building, if you go in the front door. So there's 7 elementary schools left that don't have a safe school entrance. I realize, I'm not an idiot. I know this wouldn't particularly stop a shooter, but for my mind, it would slow them down. And unlike Uvalde, the deputies that we do have are very conscientious, and the town workforces. So they would be there, within a heartbeat if something was going on. So my deal is you slow this, if there is a shooter, you slow them down. Mm-hmm. So 7 more safe school entrances. Do you think any of those were included in this past budget?
Of course not.
The county council president negotiated for 1. And you don't get these things done next month. You have to plan them ahead. It's going to take at least a year and a half to get these things done, because you can't do them while the students are in school. You usually do them during the summertime. So, that's not a priority. So to me, where you put your money in any budget, whether it's a business or whether it's government, that tells you where your values are and what you're looking out for. Obviously, our students are not a priority. Our teachers are not a priority. Our deputies are not a priority. And hence, if our deputies are not a priority, the safety of the citizens is not a priority. So, it's just, it goes on down. I could go on. They cut the library budget. They cut the Parks and Rec budget.
Well, this is a lot. And the word that kept ringing in my mind that you used in your terrific response, in your terrific response is value. And that specifically that people in Cecil County are not getting the value out of their government that they deserve, and that things are suffering, that the accessibility of citizens to their government is poor. The responsiveness of their government leaves a good bit to be desired. That the quality of education is at severe risk, because as you very aptly mentioned, the pandemic being in a phase where, whether it's, the scientific answer is whether the pandemic is clinically over or not, COVID is a reality and we all have to learn to live with it. But it did come for those 2 or 3 school years. Data have already shown that there are gaps and there are problems with how kids are performing, and we need to catch them up. And then plus also the safety aspect. So no, I think you've hit upon a number of great reasons why people should vote for you. I want to ask about one additional, item and your position on it, because, you mentioned before that the council is generally very, right-wing people, and you are running as an unaffiliated candidate. So it seems like these Republicans in Maryland, from Dan Cox on down, are running on jobs, the economy, business, keeping Maryland business friendly, allowing people to have, be able to be entrepreneurs, and big nasty old liberal government taking away your rights and, imposing regulations. I'm sure in your experience, you've heard this argument probably 1,000 times. How are you, you know, what are your thoughts in terms of you know, of pro business, pro private industry growth?
You know, as I said in my intro, we started our on-farm ice cream business as a value-added business for our farm. I don't know how much you know about dairy farmers, but the dairy industry is a very up and down kind of thing. And we decided we needed another business to add value to what we were trying to do. So we went to, I didn't go, but my daughter-in-law went to Penn State ice cream school, started an on-farm ice cream shop. So one of the things that we were able to do in the county for farm businesses was to give them the opportunity in the zoning laws to start these farming businesses without having to change their zoning, which is very important because farmers don't necessarily, the majority of farmers want to keep their farms. They don't want to sell them for housing developments, etc. So to be able to have a commercial enterprise on your farm that was, you know, related to your agricultural business was a positive. I'm currently on the board of library trustees in the county and chairman of the Citizens for Maryland Libraries in the state. So one of the things that our particular library has been doing, and some of the other libraries throughout the state too, is working with people who are interested in starting businesses, put them in contact with resources, help them with business plans, help them with demographics, help them with whatever they need help with to get that small business started. So, you know, I would continue to support that in our library. Right now, we've ordered another mobile unit, like our bookmobile, that hopefully we'll get within the next year, that will go out to the different communities and it will have those business services on it. So it'll be a mobile business unit. I've promoted small businesses all my life. And if you look at my Facebook page, that's one of the things I've been doing. I think they're in any economy, whether it's a state economy or a county economy, you need a varied industrial base. We're fortunate in Cecil County, very fortunate to have Gore plants. We have, let me think, what's the, I'm trying to think of the name now, Northrop Grumman.
Northrop Grumman. And
Yeah,
Gore is that the clothing company?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, just for those of you who don't know, that was a very famous, I believe, Delaware founded company, Gore-Tex.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, was founded by a gentleman named Gore, and so there are plants in Cecil County.
In his basement, yes, they're plants in Cecil County. So that's a very, you know, that was a startup business long ago. Northrop Grumman has had many incarnations. They were ATK, they were, you know, but right now they're Northrop Grumman. We're very proud to have them. We do have some warehouses. We have an Amazon warehouse, Lidl warehouse. So we do have warehouses. So what I'm trying to do, or what I'm trying to say, is that we need a variety of businesses in the county, from warehouses to high-tech industry to small businesses, to provide different types of jobs for the citizens in the county. So I don't think you should have, you know, all warehouses or all big business, or, you know, you need to vary it. So then when you have an economic downturn in any one industry, others can pick up the slack. So I'm, you know, I'm very much pro business. And
yeah. And last question I want to ask about your thoughts on policy. You know, yeah. So my experience with Cecil County is relatively limited. You know, I adore Havre de Grace. I've been there a few times and enjoy going there for
Bill, that's Harford County.
Oh, that's Harford. Oh my word. I'm sorry. See how much I know. However,
that's right across the river. Right across.
Perryville is in Cecil, correct?
I'm sorry.
Perryville is in Cecil.
Yes.
Okay,
50, you're good. You're good.
I'm on the Hall of Fame, 50-50. But I worked for the Baltimore VA for 6 years.
Okay.
And so I'm very familiar with the Perryville, the Perry Point
Perry Point.
facility. Absolutely gorgeous piece of property.
Oh, isn't
I've
it?
always thought that at some point, the VA ever wanted to get rid of it, one could do a heck of a world-class resort there. It is absolutely gorgeous vistas. And I'm familiar with the transit stop there. And I don't know about now, but I mean, again, this was in the early 2000s when I was there. I believe there was even a SEPTA connection at one point that somehow got you to Perryville. I think it might have been like a bus, maybe not a rail. But, as you mentioned, I mean, Cecil County's kind of, not just that linchpin that fits the east, that connects the east and the west. It's considered in some statistics to be part of the Philly metropolitan area.
Yes.
And it's very close to, Delaware, so Wilmington, Newark, all of that good stuff. So, how do you see, on the other end of my previous question about small business, regional connection? How do you see Cecil County fitting in as that regional partner to take advantage of its location, for the benefit of its citizens?
Well, we're doing that to some extent in other areas, not necessarily in transportation, because that's always been, even when I was commissioner, trying to get that. As you know, Perryville is the last stop on the MARC
Mhm.
system. We've been trying to get that connection to go straight through into the Delaware area. But working with Amtrak, and that system is like working with them trying to get the bridges repaired over their tracks. It's just like well, I won't go into that story. But anyway, that's always been a problem, getting that last mile connection. But, they continue to work on it. But I would point out one thing that maybe you haven't thought about or aren't aware about. You do know that Cecil County is the home of the Grand 5-Star Equestrian event that
I
will.
did not know that. We used to
Oh,
have
you didn't
a
know that?
show jumping event in Howard County, and I miss it. But so
Oh,
do tell me more.
last year, and I forget which Queen Elizabeth's granddaughter jumped at the 5-Star event or rode. I'm not sure which. I'm not very much a horse person, more of a cow person. But it is a big 5-Star event. And if I get this wrong, the horse people are going to go after me. But I think there's only 2 or 3 of these in the United States, and Cecil County is the home for one of them. And it's coming up in October. You have to look it up, somewhere around the 16th of October. The reason I'm zeroed in on it this year is because I have a grand dog corgi, and at the
Aw.
5-Star event this year in front of the grandstands, they're going to have a corgi race. So I'm going to cheer my grand dog corgi Berkeley on, which, I figure if somebody stands at the end of the track with treats, we've won it.
I
So,
love it.
yeah. So, lots of people from all over everywhere, come to this horse event. So
I love it. That sounds wonderful. I have to look that up.
look that up.
I
Yeah.
will. I will. I might even just look that up while you answer my next question,
Okay.
which is that, this has been I want to say this has been a great conversation. We've talked a lot about how to elect you, talked a lot about why we should elect you. But what I want to give you an opportunity now is that this is the time of the podcast for what I like to call shameless self-promotion.
Shameless.
So if you could share with us how people could get involved in your campaign and any elevator pitch in closing you might want to share, now's your time.
Okay, thank you. Well, we have, the traditional avenues. We have Writing Kilby Facebook, Writing Kilby website. We're, monitor that always. So we look for volunteers. Anybody that's interested in donating money, that would be great. Signs, billboards, recordings are expensive, as I've found out, much more expensive than 24 years ago. So, donations would be great, but one of the things I've been telling people consistently is everybody has networks. You have all kinds of networks, business networks, personal networks. If you can let people know that I'm running, if you can let them know how to actually write my name in, that kind of support is vital, because one of the things that I found during this campaign is that the other side has a lot of fear and intimidation going on. And a lot of people are afraid to openly support me because of the fear of some kind of retribution in some way, shape, or form, particularly business owners. Mm-hmm. So, they'll say behind doors, yeah, we support you and we'll write you in and that kind of thing. But they're afraid of coming out outwardly. Normal citizens don't have that problem because they've had it up to here and they're ready to do anything that might get them a choice or point the government in another direction. As I said, I read a Snoopy cartoon the other day online that Charlie Brown's sister, I guess it is, was talking to him and asking him if all fairy tales started with once upon a time. And Charlie Brown replied, no, there's the other kind that says when I am elected. So I'm not here to, promote fairy tales about what I'm going to do when I'm elected. I have a very practical, common sense, problem solving approach to this. And I know very well that there, probably going to be limited things I can do, but I do promise people this: I will not be quiet. I will investigate everything. I will raise issues. I will make sure that even if I can't change it, I make sure that the citizens of the county know what's going on. And then maybe, in 2 years, they can change it. So,
right. Well, it sounds like maybe the biggest takeaway I have from this is that the people of Cecil County need advocates on their county council. And I think you would be a terrific advocate. And I really want to thank you for the time you shared with us today. Again, this is Phyllis Kilby, PHYLLIS space KILBY. Fill in the arrow, write the name, and be happy that you've elected, that you're voting for a terrific person for county council. And incidentally, Phyllis mentioned her corgi. And I believe that corgi is going to be at the Maryland 5-Star at the Fair Hill Special Event Zone in Elkton, Maryland. I do know Elkton, and I did know Elkton is in Cecil. The 13th through the 16th of October, and it looks like a terrific event. And Phyllis, you were right on target. It apparently is everything horse. It's dressage, it's cross country, it's show jumping. So if you are into any of the equestrian sports, anybody out there, and you don't know about this event, you should go because it seems like a really interesting time, and it's apparently a very, as Phyllis mentioned, a very high level event. So by around that time, you should be getting your early vote ballots. So do both things: vote for Phyllis, and then go to the equestrian event.
Sounds great.
Phyllis, thank you again for appearing on this. I hope we get to talk sometime after November when you're council person elect.
I would love to have a rematch.
A rematch? My goodness, I didn't see this as a competition, but a competition.
No, it's not. No, but I appreciate the opportunity.
This has been a terrific talk. I've really enjoyed it. And folks, next week we will have rescheduled from last week Len Foxwell here to talk with us about ranked choice voting. So for Steve Hunt, my name is Bill Woodcock. You've been watching or listening to another edition of Forward Maryland. Have a great rest of your weekend. Take care.
Thanks, Bill.